everybody coming. It's like we must be family today. Got a few visitors, spectators. So we welcome everybody to the meeting. Really no announcements. I know we've been meeting on 6-4 for a little while, which has been a little different. To be quite honest with you, but still don't have windows here. It may get a little loud if the loud truck goes by, so we have to pause and wait for the noise to go away. Forgive us for that, but windows will start going in on Monday. And so hopefully, fingers crossed, next time we meet, we'll have windows and we'll get back to the regular meetings, no noise, anything like that. So, anyway, appreciate everybody coming. Moving on to the agenda for today, we have two items under awards and presentations. First is a presentation by Friends of Duke Preschool. Mr. Stephen Smith will be here, and Mr. Adams requested this item to be placed on the agenda. I know they said to do, and we'll talk about this. I know they've been doing a very good job of getting that old schoolhouse building renovated and getting some activity there, and we still have a lot of work to do. But any comments we'll make on that?
They took it in the last little over a year, and raised about $40,000 on their own, and from the bill 1903, so they're trying to get it back to to be a social education.
I think it used to be a polling.
It was a polling location at the time.
No. So any objections to this presentation on the agenda for Monday? No, sure. Item number 2, and EMA Director Hugh is not here today, but he has wants to give an update for EMA and the Volunteer Fire Association, and there is a possibility he may want to do a recognition too, as we'll see if he can get all the parties involved in here. But, that's what he has planned. So any objection, that item goes on the agenda.
Very good.
All right, item number 1 is a request to approve resolution to vacate a portion of James Lane. This is in New York.
It is.
Okay. We will actually have a public hearing immediately before the meeting on Monday to discuss this vacation. This is a little bit of a complicated process. I know anytime a road is potentially vacated, adjoining property owners have to be notified, emergency services have to be notified, and Commissioner Adams, being a representative of that district, actually have to be the one to make the motion to vacate that property. We will have a public hearing, so anybody that has comments on that can come make comments on that on Monday, immediately before the meeting. Any questions about this item? No question. Any objection to this item going on the agenda? No objection. Let's see. Item number 2. There is a request to approve resolution authorizing the issuance of general obligation 1 Smart Bank. Peter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you gentlemen may recall, at the last commission meeting, you approved the general obligation warrants and authorized the chairman to execute the appropriate documents. The bank also requires that we issue a resolution from the commission. Now, that wasn't done at the last meeting, as I understand the rules, is that last meetings votes are actually not technically embedded, the last word, until the minutes of that meeting are approved, which will be at the next commission meeting on Monday. Then they would request, because there's a page number and a book number that needs to be added to some of these documents. This is the resolution requested by the bank for that funding, which is scheduled to occur on Tuesday, the 23rd.
Any questions for Mr. Coker? No question. Objection to this item on the agenda for Monday.
No objections.
Okay. Item number 3 is a request to approve budget amendment for revenue and associated expenditures related to fiscal permit grant reimbursement fund. I know, Peter, you have talked about this before, that this process of the new law that, sort of done away with the necessity to carry a fiscal permit if you're concealing inside the state of Alabama. Still need a fiscal permit if you go across state lines. But you don't have to have one if you're concealing within the state of Alabama. The law requires the sheriff to come before us and ask for his fiscal permit money. And I know this is one of the things that the ACCA is trying to get changed. Quite frankly, we don't think that's necessary, but it is what it is right now. The sheriff needs the money, so that's what this item is. Do you have any comments or clarifications?
The only thing about this, I realized that, an oversight in the first, quarter that I came for you, I did not ask for a budget amendment for the revenue side, just for the expenditure side. This, budget amendment for you is the first and second quarter revenue side, and the second quarter, fiscal permit grant money from ADECA for the sheriff, covered under our local law. So for law enforcement purposes, that's why the account title is called for other law enforcement purposes. That's what our local law requires the fiscal permit money to be given, or for the sheriff to use for at his discretion and for other law enforcement purposes. Hopefully, as the chairman mentioned, the law will be modified to take away a lot of these hopscotch squares we have to touch and pass over. And this will not be something that'll be ongoing every quarter.
There are a lot of things that don't make sense. It's one of them. Any questions? No question. Any objection to this item going on the agenda? No objection. Item number 4 is a request to approve budget amendment to record revenues from Johnson & Johnson opioid settlements. Mr. Coe.
Thank you, Chairman. As you gentlemen may recall, there has been several attempts to settle the opioid lawsuits from both manufacturers, distributors, and other entities in the country over many years. Alabama has been settling their claims. This is the next in the series of claims. We had the McKesson claim settled about 3 months ago, I think it was. This is the J&J or Jensen settlement, and this is to authorize recording, the budget amendment to authorize recording of that revenue.
And as we've said before, just as a reminder, this is probably the most restricted of any restricted monies that we have. There's very few things that we can actually spend this money on. Certainly can't put it in the asphalt or building improvements, anything like that. So
that's correct. And I'll be happy to share the 6 inches of pages that I have that restrict that use of these funds.
but the interest that we earn while this is in the bank waiting to be expended, I'm assuming that is in the.
That is not covered in the settlement as far as the purposes that money can be used for. So that's me in general.
No, please, that's far. Any questions? No questions. The objection to this item going on the agenda?
No objection.
Item number 5 is a request to approve budget amendment for Alabama Mutual Aid System pass-through grants and strategic national stockpile grant. Peter, the floor is yours again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen, you may recall last year you did a budget amendment for the pass-through grants. These are primarily from EMA for various and sundry items. That money never came in. It's now starting to come in. And so I need to do a budget amendment so that we can have the account set up for those items to be recorded. And these pass-through grants, they're not general fund money, they just come in and go out. But we need, this current year's budget does not have these items in it, because it was anticipated to be done in last year's budget year. So we need to set this up. That's all this is. It's just establishing the framework for which these pass-through grants can be processed.
Question? Approve the agenda on Monday. All right, excuse me, item number 6. The agenda item reads request to approve the purchase of real property. Maybe to decide that a little bit, for Monday's meeting. So we have been, so I had mentioned in the previous meeting, we have been involved in several different potential real estate deals. And we've had more executive sessions than I really care to comment on. This is one of the ones that we've been working on. This property is located on Pravat Road, is adjoining the farm center property. We have an opportunity to buy 3.052 acres, which is adjoining the farm center property. The lowest that I have been able to negotiate, which is probably a little bit higher than what we have discussed, but some of y'all being willing to pay. But this is the price that we can get it for, $290,000. We have discussed potential uses, several potential uses of that property, and I will tell, I can't remember if I mentioned this to some of y'all or not, but I know DHR may want to relocate their building. They have an older building, it's too small, and this would be a great spot for that, but it would also preserve our ability to utilize the back portion of what we call the farm center property. Beyond that, I don't have a whole lot of other comment, but there's an old house on the property that may need to be demolished, and may be able to sell and move part of it. I don't think it's gonna really offer much value for us, but unfortunately, we have to pay the value that the house brings to the property, and we don't necessarily have a use for it. This is the opportunity that's before us, and I will open it up for questions or comments.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I got a question, or maybe a statement. DHR building. That is a building that we have to furnish by law, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we have to maintain that building. Now, we did not build that building. It was built by the state, paid for by the state, but we have to maintain it. I mean, and I will say that building has some age-related issues, and the maintenance cost of that building is soon to go up quite a bit as the air conditioner system and the roof has to be replaced. So to have a new building will lower our maintenance costs in the long term.
So that property actually in Houston County Commission's name, versus the state, so we own that property. We have every right to that property where the DHR is.
Correct. They have a right to occupy that building, but we own the brand of it.
But the state originally built that, so the state paid for that with their funds.
Correct.
I have a question as well. So if we purchase this property, instead of out of line, we'll pay for a new building to go up, and we will just maintain it.
Correct. That's how that's system.
And then we'll have property on the circle to use as a avenue for the county.
Correct.
I want to make sure I'm good.
Can we have Tommy from maintenance figure Monday
Yeah.
to have any other follow-up questions? Reference to upcoming maintenance work on the DHR building.
We actually looked at the schedule, but I'll get him to bring that. Let's make this up ready. I was giving this a thought, if y'all want to approve this, yes, I have a look at if y'all even want on the agenda, but my suggestion would be request to authorize chairman to sign the purchase and sale agreement for 172 for that road at no more than $290,000. That would be my. And that may be overthinking it, but this, and the reason I say that is because this sales contract is not one that has been, I would say, fully vetted by our attorney. And so there may be some things that need some things in it. But as long as the price is the same, maybe some of the details change, I think.
So have we already spoke with the state about possibility of getting the funding and for them funding a new DHR facility?
Yes, I have. Now, that is, I will admit to you, it's not a done deal. There are people in the DHR at state level and at the local level that are aware of our interest in moving them. And actually, they're the ones that reached out to me some time ago. They want a larger building, a newer building, because the building that they're in is old and it's too small. So they need a new facility, but at the end of the day, it's not the local people that make that decision. It's the top person in Montgomery. They have not approved that, so that is a possibility that we could do this, and they may end up deciding not wanting to do it. I will tell you, I've spoken with people at the state level and the local level, and they are very interested. Now,
But we gotta have a piece of property for them to do it.
correct, we have to furnish the property. So if it's not here and they need a new building, we've got to furnish the property somewhere.
Well, I can say that I've been in and out of that building several times with my full-time job, more or less. And, it is dilapidated, has a lot of issues inside there, and they don't have enough room, all the offices are taken up, space is taken up. And, you know, they bring kids that they have to take from parents because of certain issues, and they bring them there whenever they have to stay with them and so forth, and they actually have to carry them in their offices or whatever, and might spend the night and do things, so they don't really have a place for them to, you know, to be able to comfortably stay somewhere. And some of those places, those kids, you know, it's not like my kids, I whip them for writing on, or painting on a wall, or writing on a wall or something, you know, you can't do that with those kids. You know, I would discipline my kid, and that, you can't do that, but those kids I've been in their rooms and seen, when I've done evaluations and so forth, and seen in those rooms how they've been painted on and what all the walls are all painted on, and damaged the walls and so forth, so, you know, they don't really have the proper space, so. I just want to add that, being in another building, and they do have a lot that they do over there, and as we keep growing in this county, there's going to be more, they might have more help eventually, and they don't have room to grow.
The thing I like about the site personally, it's not very far from the current site. So it wouldn't be really very convenient not going to the location. You have a question, comments? All right, does anybody have an objection to this item going on the agenda? No objection. I'll make sure Tom is here. We have the one privilege of the floor request today, Mr. George Trotter, 4218 County Road 203, Bethel, Alabama, 631. He is going to address us on suggestions relative to commerce and industry in Houston County. Mr. Trotter, have 5 minutes. Yeah, you need to go that way and press that, where it says touchpad, press that, when that light comes on, people will be able to hear you, so will everybody else.
Thank you, Chairman. Ma'am, you may not want to leave this, red light on me up here. I bet they can hear me without it. We'll leave it on, not hurting anybody here. I want to commend visual and audio people for what they've done. We can hear y'all for a change. I've been coming here 5 years, and today is the first day that I could hear virtually every word that y'all said, except sometimes you put your hand up like this and all, but we don't like to see that. But anyway, Chairman, Commissioner, I appreciate y'all allowing me to come before you. But the law allows that, okay? Comments about commerce and industry and suggestions in Houston County. I've been here going on my 27th year in Houston County. Love it. Love it. Have 8 grandchildren. One just finished high school, just finished college, Troy University, right here. All right here in Houston County, Alabama. I love it. 27 years I've been here, and I'm going to ask some questions. Hopefully y'all will follow up with some answers to these questions. I've asked questions in the past and never got any acknowledgement about answers or information about it. So I'd love to have input back, Mr. Chairman, at some point here in the near future. I'm going to cite, I can't cite specifically, but things that I've been told, hearing through the grapevine before I started coming here, even back as far as 2008, that we've had opportunities to have some really good commerce and industry companies move into our area that basically just went on. One of them happened to be a brewery. Employed a lot of people, lots of revenue Could have been out in Rehoboth, Alabama, Cottonwood, Ashford, or Wicksburg. But whatever reasons, our leadership, whether it's our, and here's a question maybe you can answer right up front for me. Chamber of Commerce, Dothan, Houston County, Dothan Greater Chamber of Commerce, is that the way it is? Is it a combination, Houston County and Dothan Chamber of Commerce, or do we have a Dothan Chamber of Commerce and a Houston County Chamber of Commerce?
Is the Dothan area change?
I'm sorry,
Is the Dothan area change?
Dothan area, which would include all of Houston County, correct?
I would hope so.
Sorry?
I would hope so.
I would hope so too. I haven't seen it. A lot of people across this county, outside the city limits, don't have not seen that. I haven't seen the last 27 years of any significant. Okay. Now, the latest significant thing that I think we've dropped the ball on, and I say we, I'm talking about our leadership, our county commission and our chamber of commerce have dropped the ball on, is guess what? Anybody want to guess what it is? I have been, and it's gone from us here in Houston County. It's the VA nursing home in Coffee County. In Enterprise. I can't understand why we missed that, but we missed it. I just want to bring that to the attention that we need some things here in Houston County, out in our outlying areas of revenue generating and jobs and revenue generating in commerce and industry out in our county. I want y'all to concentrate on that, if you will, from this point forward, and see if you can get something besides downtown Dothan. And our latest downtown Dothan, I love downtown Dothan, but it's not all of Houston County by any means. Is what? What's the latest thing going downtown, Mr. Chairman?
This is your opportunity to make comments, so.
I'm sorry?
This is your opportunity.
Let me ask you a question, make questions and comments.
This is your opportunity to make comments, and your time is running
Yeah.
out, so.
So what's the name of the big research facility coming downtown?
Must be referring to Hudson Alley.
Yeah, Hudson Alley. Going downtown, we'd love to have had it on the 40 acres.
That is where they chose to go.
Yeah, because we didn't have anybody that went to bat to change their mind or sell them on the idea that we had 42 acres out here called the farm center that we're sitting on going on 18 years. Going on 18 years that the county and the city sitting here wondering who's gonna get the most out of it, I guess you would say, for proper private individual. And they still, and that's the question, that's my last question, I'm gonna sit down, Mr. Chair. What is the status, because it's relative to commerce and it's, what is the status of our farm center today as I speak? What's the status of whether the county or the city of Dothan, and what are we gonna do with it?
So the status of the farm center is that it's owned jointly by Dothan and Houston County. That status has not changed. And just so you know, that the city of Dothan and the Chamber of Commerce showed the farm center property to Hudson Alley, and they chose to go downtown Dothan. Your time has expired.
One last question, comment. One last comment is, why this money, we're talking about buying